The calm before the storm. The universe had always been a place of tension. Peace was a fragile thing, held together by thin threads. Each species had its own way of surviving, and most of them did so by waging war, claiming resources, or taking what they wanted. Among them, humanity stood out. But unlike the other species, humans had a secret, a mystery that no one could quite explain. For centuries, Earth had been a silent observer. The wars of the galaxy had raged, civilizations rose and fell, and alliances were formed and broken. But Earth remained untouched, refusing to join the chaos. To many, it was a puzzle. Why did humans, with all their technology and potential, refuse to fight? It was as though they had a different rule that guided them, a rule that no one understood. The most powerful species in the universe had tried to unravel this mystery, but they failed every time. They had tried to provoke humanity in every way possible, offering alliances, threats, and even promises of power. Yet humans did not budge. They remained calm, even in the face of great danger. The universe had many enemies, but humans were not interested in becoming one of them. But something was stirring. A group of powerful galactic leaders had begun to question humanity's strange aversion to war. They had seen humanity's power hidden behind a veil of peace, and they wondered if it was time to finally test it. Some believed that the time for peace was over. The galaxy had grown restless, and the humans had become a symbol of what the rest of the universe feared. An untouched force, a sleeping giant. The Council of Elders, the most powerful governing body in the galaxy, had one rule that all civilizations adhered to: never wake the humans. They had heard the stories, passed down through generations, about Earth's devastating power. The stories spoke of advanced weapons and technologies that could change the course of the universe. But those were just legends, nothing more than myths that were slowly fading away in the annals of history. Yet, as the galaxy grew darker, as wars spread like wildfire across distant worlds, there was a growing concern. What if humans could stop the wars? What if they could end the suffering of countless species? It was a dangerous thought, one that some of the more ambitious members of the Council couldn't ignore. A new enemy had emerged in the galaxy, one that threatened to engulf everything in its path, a species so ruthless they saw no value in alliances, only in domination. They had already destroyed several peaceful civilizations and now set their sights on the human homeworld, Earth. The first signals of this new enemy were subtle. At first, they were just whispers, strange communications intercepted by deep space scanners. Nothing that anyone paid much attention to. But then the attacks began. The first battle was fought in a distant system, and it ended in disaster. The enemy was relentless. They showed no mercy, wiping out entire fleets in a matter of hours. It didn't take long for the galaxy to recognize the threat. The galaxy's most powerful fleets began to move, gathering to fight back. Yet, even as they prepared for war, they couldn't stop wondering. Where were the humans? Why weren't they joining the battle? Why had they remained silent? In secret, a few high-ranking officials within the Council began to discuss an unsettling thought. Maybe it was time to wake the humans. Maybe it was time to see if they would finally fight. As tensions grew, the Council made a fateful decision. A delegation would be sent to Earth, a small but powerful team of diplomats and military leaders. Their mission was simple: convince the humans to join the war, or at least offer their assistance. They would do whatever it took to make the humans participate. But the leaders of the Council did not understand what they were walking into. They didn't know the true nature of humanity's power. And they didn't know that the humans had one rule, a rule that no one had dared to break for centuries: never provoke the humans. Deep within Earth's most secure military bases, the leaders of humanity had already been watching the rising storm in the galaxy. They knew what was coming. They knew the galaxy was on the brink of total chaos, and they had made their decision. The delegation from the Council arrived at Earth's orbit under the cover of darkness, not knowing that the humans had already been preparing for this moment. No one had ever dared to challenge the rule of war. No one had ever dared to question why humans avoided war. But now, the storm was coming, and the humans were no longer willing to stay silent. The council delegation was not prepared for what they would find on Earth. They arrived under the cover of darkness, hoping to meet with the human leaders in secrecy. The galaxy had already heard the rumors. Earth's power, its strange reluctance to fight, and its ability to remain untouched by the universe's chaos. No one truly understood what made humans different. No one truly knew what was hidden behind Earth's peaceful facade. At first glance, the planet appeared to be as calm as ever. It was a world of lush forests, bustling cities, and deep oceans, seemingly unaware of the wars that raged across the galaxy. From a distance, it looked like nothing more than a tiny speck in the vast universe, a forgotten world whose people had no interest in the struggles of others. The Council thought their mission would be easy, a diplomatic visit to convince the humans to join the fight. After all, they had a massive enemy to deal with, and the humans were a force that couldn't be ignored, or so they thought. The delegation's arrival was greeted with silence. No welcoming ceremony, no grand speeches, just a quiet acknowledgement of their presence. There was a calmness in the air, almost as if the Earth itself was holding its breath. They were escorted into the heart of the human government, an ancient building made of stone and glass, a symbol of the humans' long history. The council members, who had seen hundreds of advanced civilizations, felt the weight of centuries in the walls. Yet nothing in the building could prepare them for what they would learn in the coming hours. The human leaders sat in a dark room, their faces shrouded in shadows, illuminated only by the dim glow of the screens before them. They had been waiting for this moment. For years, they had watched as the universe struggled with war after war, chaos spreading like wildfire. The human leadership knew something that the council did not. They had long since learned to avoid conflict, but they were not naive. They knew that silence was not a permanent solution. They knew the galaxy's growing unrest could not be ignored forever. But it was not just the growing wars that had drawn the humans' attention. The mysterious new enemy, whose shadow loomed larger with each passing day, had forced them to make a decision. The enemy was unlike anything the galaxy had seen, ruthless, cunning, and without mercy. Humanity had a powerful weapon, one that no one had seen in action for centuries, and it was a weapon they did not want to use. They had kept it hidden, knowing it would be the last line of defense, the final option. But now, Earth was facing a choice: stand by and watch as the galaxy burned, or wake up the sleeping giant that lay within. The delegation's leader, an experienced diplomat named Velos, stepped forward to speak. His voice was calm, but there was an edge of urgency to it. "We have come to you, representatives of Earth, with an offer. The galaxy is under siege. There is a threat unlike anything we have encountered, and we need your help. You have resources, you have knowledge, and most importantly, you have power. We ask you to join us. Stand with us in this war." His words hung in the air, met with nothing but silence. The council had hoped for a quick response, a swift agreement from the humans. They were wrong. The humans did not speak immediately. Instead, they watched. They observed. They had heard every word, but their response was not yet clear. The humans had one simple rule that guided everything they did: do not provoke. And until now, they had adhered to that rule with unwavering discipline. They had watched the galaxy tear itself apart, avoiding conflict, believing that peace could somehow be maintained. But that peace was no longer possible. The question remained: what would the humans do? Hours passed. The council delegation grew uneasy. The tension in the room was palpable. They had expected urgency from Earth's leaders, but instead they were met with careful consideration. There was no hasty decision, no rash promise. The humans were calm. Too calm. Velos, growing impatient, tried again. "We understand your hesitation. But understand this: if you do not act, if you do not join us, the enemy will destroy everything." Earth will not be spared. Your people, your resources, everything you hold dear will be wiped out. The galaxy will be torn apart by this unstoppable force. Still, no one spoke. The humans seemed undeterred by Velos's words. Their silence was deafening. Then one of them, a figure at the far end of the room, cloaked in shadows, finally stood up. It was a woman, her features hidden by the darkness, her presence commanding and quiet. She raised her hand slightly, signaling the room to fall into complete silence. After what felt like an eternity, she spoke, her voice steady and resolute. The universe may think it can break us, but you have no idea what you're dealing with. Her words were calm, yet there was an undercurrent of something far more dangerous in her tone. We have watched, we have learned, and we have prepared. The room fell silent again. The humans had not yet given an answer. Instead, they had sent a chilling message. It was clear now. Earth was not afraid. Earth was not unsure. Earth was, in fact, waiting for the right moment to act. The council delegates exchanged nervous glances, sensing that their mission was not going as planned. They had come expecting to force an alliance, to recruit humanity into their cause. But now, they were unsure. The humans were not the helpless, naive species they had believed them to be. They had something more, something hidden in the depths of their calm exterior. And the universe, the galaxy itself, was about to feel the weight of that power. But the council didn't know that yet. They only knew that Earth was not the peaceful, harmless world they thought it was. Something else was hidden, and they were beginning to realize that they may have just awakened it. As the council members shuffled nervously in their seats, a tension unlike anything they had ever felt hung thick in the air. The words of the woman who had spoken earlier reverberated in their minds. We have watched, we have learned, and we have prepared. What did it mean? What was Earth hiding? The galaxy had long underestimated humanity, and it seemed now that Earth was ready to reveal just how wrong the universe had been. Velos, still standing at the center of the room, tried to compose himself, but the weight of the situation was becoming too much. He knew something had changed. The humans were no longer the passive observers they once were. They were something more. But what was that something? The woman who had spoken earlier, now known as Ayla, turned and looked toward her colleagues in the shadows. Without a word, she nodded. The humans had prepared for this moment, but the time had not yet come for full disclosure. She signaled for the others to leave the room. One by one, the humans rose and disappeared into the darkness, leaving only Ayla and Velos. You need to understand, Ayla said, her voice now softer, but just as firm. We were not always this way. There was a time when humans fought like the rest of the galaxy. We fought wars for land, for resources, for power. But we learned something, Velos. We learned that the cost of war was too high, too many lives lost, too much destruction. We made a choice to walk away from that path. And for centuries, we have remained in the shadows, watching, waiting. But now, the universe has forced our hand. Velos listened carefully, trying to understand the gravity of her words. The humans' reluctance to fight had always been a mystery, but now it seemed to be a matter of survival. Earth's decision to avoid conflict had been a deliberate, calculated choice. And this preparation she spoke of, what did it mean? Was Earth truly capable of something more? Was there a power hiding beneath the surface of this peaceful world? Ayla continued, her tone steady and unyielding. We have built something here on Earth, a force that even the galaxy is not prepared for. It is a force that will make the entire universe reconsider its assumptions about us. The truth is, we have kept this power hidden for so long because we knew that once it was unleashed, there would be no turning back. Velos felt his pulse quicken. He had heard of ancient weapons, weapons of unimaginable power, but he had never thought Earth possessed such a thing. Humans were known for their ingenuity, their ability to create, but the idea of them wielding a weapon that could change the entire course of galactic history was almost incomprehensible. What could it possibly be? Ayla seemed to read his thoughts. You think we are weak, that we have nothing to offer, but that is your greatest mistake. The power we possess is not something you can see with your eyes. It is not something that can be touched or measured in terms of physical might. It is something deeper, something far more dangerous. The room was silent for a long moment. The air felt thick with the weight of the unknown. Velos had been trained for years to read the faces and intentions of other species, to understand their motivations and desires. But the humans were different. They were not showing their cards. They were not revealing their true strength. And that made them all the more dangerous. Ayla stood and walked toward a nearby table, where a small device rested. It was no bigger than a human's hand, sleek and simple in appearance, but there was something about it that made Velos uneasy. She carefully placed her hand over the device, and for a brief moment, a faint hum filled the room. The air around them seemed to shift, becoming thicker, more charged. This, Ayla said softly, is what we have kept hidden. It is not a weapon in the traditional sense. It does not destroy planets, nor does it rip apart armies. No, this is something far more subtle. This is the power to control, to manipulate, to bend reality itself to our will. Velos's mind raced as the implications of her words began to sink in. If what she said was true, this device could be far more dangerous than any fleet or weapon the galaxy had ever seen. A power that could manipulate reality, that could control the very fabric of existence. It was beyond anything Velos had ever encountered. His first instinct was to demand answers, to try and understand how such a thing was possible. But he knew better than to press further. The humans were in control now, and they were not about to give up their secrets so easily. Ayla returned to her seat, locking eyes with Velos. We have kept this power hidden because we knew that if we ever revealed it, we would never be able to take it back. We would become a force the galaxy could not ignore. And that is exactly why we've stayed out of this war for so long. But things have changed. The galaxy has pushed us too far. And now we must act. We will no longer stand idly by while others destroy each other. Velos's mind was spinning. The humans were not the passive observers he had thought them to be. They had been biding their time, waiting for the moment when the universe would give them no choice but to reveal their power. And that moment had come. What do you expect from us? Velos asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Ayla's gaze hardened, and for the first time since their meeting began, Velos saw something in her eyes, a flicker of resolve, of certainty. We expect you to understand this. We are not your allies. We are not your enemies. We are something beyond that. And if the universe wants to survive, it will have to learn to live with us on our terms. The message was clear. The humans were done waiting. They had shown their hand, and the galaxy would have to reckon with what they had awakened. There would be no more peaceful negotiations, no more delicate diplomacy. The universe had crossed the line. And now, Earth was ready to show its true power. The Galactic Council room had grown eerily quiet, save for the low hum of machinery and the distant echoes of hushed voices. Velos stood frozen, the weight of Ayla's words pressing down on him. The universe had always seen humans as nothing more than another primitive species, just one among many, their potential hidden beneath layers of history and peace. But Ayla's words, the revelation of a hidden power capable of reshaping the universe, had shattered that perception in an instant. Velos had seen many things in his life. He had witnessed entire civilizations fall, the rise and fall of empires, and the clash of unimaginable powers. Yet nothing could have prepared him for the idea that humanity, a species once thought of as insignificant, had the ability to control reality itself. The implications were staggering. Ayla leaned back in her chair, her expression unreadable. She had made her point. The humans were no longer willing to sit in the shadows, no longer willing to be the passive observers of galactic events. Earth's time of silence had come to an end. "Do you understand now?" Ayla asked, her tone unwavering. Velos nodded slowly, still processing the magnitude of what he had just learned. The humans were not just a passive species. They had been waiting for the right moment, building power in secret, preparing for a confrontation that the galaxy was not ready for. And now that moment had arrived. "Why did you wait so long?" Velos found himself asking, his voice tinged with disbelief. Ayla's eyes softened, but there was no hint of regret in her gaze. "We waited because we believed in peace, Velos. We believed that if we stood by long enough, the galaxy would realize its own mistakes. We thought that maybe, just maybe, war could be avoided. But now, we see that the universe is incapable of change on its own. The forces of destruction have been unleashed, and there is no going back." Her words hung in the air, each one a declaration of intent. The humans had not acted out of desperation or malice. They had acted out of necessity. The universe had forced their hand, and now the consequences of that choice would unfold in ways no one could have predicted. A moment of silence passed before Velos spoke again. "So, what now? You've shown us your power. What do you want from us?" Ayla's lips curled into a small, knowing smile. "We don't want anything, Velos. Not from you. At least, what we want is for the universe to realize that it cannot continue down its current path. We are not here to conquer. We are here to remind the galaxy of one simple truth. Humans may have avoided war, but when we are forced into action, the consequences will be felt across the stars." She paused, as if measuring the impact of her words. "We have seen the destruction that war brings. We have felt the pain of countless lives lost in senseless battles. And yet, the galaxy continues to repeat the same mistakes. The balance of power is shifting, and the universe must learn to adapt to this new reality. The old ways are no longer enough." Velos took a deep breath, his mind racing with the possibilities. He had always known that humanity was different. There was something about their resilience, their ability to adapt and overcome, that set them apart from other species. But the depth of their power, the sheer scale of what they were capable of, was something entirely new. The humans had always been underestimated, and now it seemed that the universe was about to pay the price for that mistake. As Velos looked at Ayla, he realized that the human species had not just awakened to their own power, they had awakened something in the universe itself. The old order was crumbling, and a new era was beginning. Whether the galaxy was ready for it or not, humanity was about to make its mark. But Ayla was right about one thing. The universe could no longer continue down its destructive path. The forces of chaos had been allowed to run unchecked for far too long, and humanity had been forced to take action. "The galaxy has two choices, Velos," Ayla continued, her voice steady and resolute. "It can either learn to adapt to this new reality, or it can continue to spiral toward its own destruction. The choice is not ours to make. It is up to you, and every other species, to decide what kind of future you want. But one thing is certain. Humanity will not stand by and watch it all fall apart." Velos was silent, the weight of her words sinking in. He knew that whatever came next, the universe would never be the same. And the humans, for better or worse, would be at the heart of it all. As Ayla turned away, her expression hardening, Velos understood the magnitude of the situation. Earth's time of waiting was over. Humanity had awakened, and with it, the entire galaxy would soon feel the consequences. The stage was set. The universe had been warned. Now there was no turning back. The galaxy had been humming with whispers for weeks. Rumors spread faster than light itself, carried across vast distances by the network of ships and stations that connected the stars. There were few things that could break the calm of the galaxy's distant corners, few events that could disrupt the carefully balanced order of the universe. But the news of the humans' awakening had done just that. The tension was palpable, even in the farthest reaches of space. Velos was pacing in his chamber, his mind swirling with a mix of dread and curiosity. The Council had always maintained that the humans were a species to watch, But even their closest allies never fully understood the depths of their potential. It was clear now that they had been too dismissive. They had all underestimated the humans. He thought back to the times before the awakening, to the era when Earth had been nothing more than a blip on the radar of the galaxy's grand chessboard. Earth had always been seen as a place of peace, a fragile, insignificant world tucked away in the far reaches of the cosmos. Its people were seen as weak, incapable of standing against the powerful forces that shaped the galaxy's history. But those who underestimated the humans had never fully grasped the truth. Humanity was not built on power alone. It was built on something far more dangerous: resilience. And now, the galaxy would feel the consequences. A soft knock on his door interrupted his thoughts. Velos looked up, his hand instinctively resting on the desk as his eyes narrowed. He had expected this visitor, but not so soon. "Come in," he called, his voice steady but carrying an edge of authority. The door slid open, revealing a tall figure draped in a long cloak. It was a member of the council, a representative from one of the galaxy's most powerful factions, the Vexari, a species known for their cunning and ruthlessness. But this representative was different. He was not here to discuss alliances or trade. He was here because the situation demanded it. "You've heard the latest news," the Vexari said, his voice a low rasp. "The humans are waking up to their full power, and they are not happy." Velos nodded, his mind already racing through the possibilities. The humans had always been a wild card, unpredictable in their actions, driven by a deep sense of justice and an unyielding desire to protect their own. But what had they truly been hiding all these years? "I've heard the whispers," Velos replied. "But no one really knows what they are capable of. The humans have been silent for too long. Now the galaxy will pay for that silence." The Vexari's sharp eyes gleamed, the flicker of unease barely concealed beneath his cold exterior. "You don't understand. The power they possess, it goes beyond anything we've ever encountered. They are not just a species, they are something much more dangerous." Velos's gaze darkened. "What do you mean?" The Vexari took a step closer, lowering his voice. "The humans have something we've never seen before, the ability to tap into the very fabric of reality. They can reshape the universe itself if they so choose. And I'm afraid they've chosen." A cold shiver ran down Velos's spine. This was no longer just a political matter. It was an existential threat to the entire galaxy. The humans had not only awakened their power, they had harnessed it in ways that were beyond the comprehension of any other species. This was not just a race for supremacy. This was a fight for survival. For the first time in his life, Velos felt a deep sense of fear creeping into his thoughts. The Vexari were never afraid. They had conquered worlds, manipulated entire civilizations, and toppled empires. Yet, here they were, afraid of the humans. "The Council will act," Velos said, trying to steady his nerves. "We must unite the galaxy against them. If they truly have the power to reshape reality, then we must stop them before it's too late." The Vexari shook his head. "It's too late for that. You don't understand. The humans are not interested in conquest or domination. They are interested in something else, something that has been building for generations. They are trying to restore balance to the universe, and in doing so, they will make us all pay for the mistakes of the past." Velos felt his heart race. What had they done? What had the humans seen that had driven them to take such extreme measures? And what would happen if they succeeded? "You're telling me we've been blind all this time," Velos murmured. The Vexari's voice was cold, almost mocking. "You've been blind, Velos, and now you and the entire galaxy will pay the price for your ignorance." Velos clenched his fists, a surge of anger rising within him. The humans had always been the underdogs, the ones who were overlooked and underestimated. But now they had become a force too powerful to ignore. "I will not let the galaxy fall to them," Velos said, his voice filled with determination. The Vexari gave a hollow laugh. "It's already begun, Velos. The shadow of the past is closing in. You can't stop it. As the Vexeri left, Velos stood there, staring at the darkened window, lost in thought. The galaxy was teetering on the brink of an upheaval unlike anything it had ever seen. The humans had awakened, and they were not going to back down. And now, the countdown to a new era had begun. The universe would never be the same again. The universe, once a calm and predictable place, was now trembling under the weight of a new force. In the deepest reaches of space, where stars burned bright and cold, humanity was no longer the weak, insignificant species they had once been. The silence of centuries had ended. The humans had awoken, and with them, an ancient power, long hidden beneath the surface of their world, had been unleashed. On Earth, the signs had been subtle at first. Strange energy fluctuations, whispers in the atmosphere, and inexplicable movements of the stars. People across the planet had felt it, something deep within their bones telling them that something had changed. That feeling grew stronger with each passing day. It was as if the very essence of Earth itself was alive, and it had stirred from its long slumber. But it wasn't just Earth that was affected. Across the galaxy, distant civilizations began to take notice. The humans were not just waking up from centuries of isolation. They were evolving. Rapidly. Their minds were unlocking dormant abilities, powers that no one had expected. They began to harness the very forces that held the universe together, manipulating energy and space with a level of control that defied all logic. In the halls of the council, where the fate of the galaxy had always been decided, the atmosphere was thick with tension. Representatives from various factions had gathered, their eyes fixed on the central projection that displayed the latest data from Earth. There was no denying it anymore. The humans were a threat, an unknown, unpredictable force. The humans have crossed the threshold, a representative from the Vexeri said, his voice heavy with concern. We cannot afford to ignore them any longer. Their power is growing exponentially. They are tapping into forces we don't even understand. Another council member, a Zorakian diplomat known for his cold pragmatism, leaned forward. We've dealt with powerful species before. What makes these humans different? They've been insignificant for so long. Why are they suddenly such a threat? The Vexeri representative's eyes narrowed. It's not just about their power, it's their intent. The humans are waking up to something ancient, something that has been dormant in their species for millennia. They are no longer the same fragile creatures we once knew. The room fell silent. There was something unsettling in his words, something that made every being in the room uneasy. It wasn't just the humans' newfound abilities. It was their purpose. And that was something the council could not understand. Meanwhile, on Earth, the humans were not standing idly by. They had become aware of their potential, and with it, a deep responsibility. The first to recognize the magnitude of their awakening were the leaders, scientists, and the few enlightened individuals who had long suspected that humanity's true power was far beyond what was visible. In hidden underground chambers, away from prying eyes, the world's most brilliant minds gathered. They studied ancient texts, observed the shifts in energy, and analyzed the strange occurrences happening across the planet. What they discovered sent shockwaves through the scientific community. The Earth had always been a living organism. Its ecosystem, its natural energy, its very core, was connected to something far more profound. Humanity itself was intricately linked to this ancient force. As the humans continued to evolve, their minds expanded, touching upon this boundless energy. They began to manipulate the elements, bending them to their will. Some could call upon fire, others could move mountains with a single thought. The very fabric of space seemed to bend and twist under their influence. And all the while, the humans were learning, adapting, and growing stronger. It wasn't just the leaders or the elite who were awakening. Ordinary people, scattered across the globe, were experiencing their own transformations. A mother in a small village could heal the sick with a mere touch. A child, no older than 10, could lift objects several times his weight with ease. The potential was limitless, and with that power came the realization that the humans could now reshape the world and the universe according to their will. The Council was aware of this, and the fear that spread across the galaxy was not just about the humans' power. It was about the humans' purpose. They were no longer simply surviving. They were evolving into something far greater, and their intent was far from clear. In a remote sector of space, a fleet of ships belonging to one of the oldest and most powerful species in the galaxy, the Drakari, received an urgent transmission. It was a warning, an encrypted message from the Council itself. Humanity must be stopped. They are awakening to a power that cannot be controlled. Their strength, their will, they cannot be allowed to grow further. The galaxy's fate is at stake. The Drakari, known for their ruthless military strategies, knew that they had to act fast. They mobilized their fleet, preparing for the unimaginable. They had fought wars, toppled empires, and conquered entire civilizations, but they had never faced a threat like this. The humans had crossed the line, and they would not be allowed to become the galaxy's dominant force. But what the Drakari and the Council did not realize was that the humans were not just rising to power. They were rising to defend something far more precious. They were not looking to dominate the galaxy. They were looking to protect what was theirs, their home, their people, and their future. As the galaxy prepared for the inevitable conflict, the humans were not retreating in fear. They were preparing to rise, and the consequences of their awakening would be felt far beyond the stars. The universe had no idea what was coming, and no one, absolutely no one, was ready for what the humans would unleash. The galaxy braced itself for the coming storm, unaware that humanity's awakening would be far more than just a display of power. It would mark the beginning of a new era. An era where humans, the once fragile and underestimated species, would rise to claim their place in the cosmos, not as conquerors, but as protectors. The human guardians were no longer just legends or myth. They had become reality. On Earth, the transformation had reached its peak. The ancient forces that humans had unlocked now surged through their veins, and with it, a deep understanding of the universe's delicate balance. For centuries, the humans had lived in the shadows of the galaxy's more dominant species. They had endured wars, invasions, and betrayals. But now, their time had come. In the heart of the United Nations' newly established Council for Intergalactic Affairs, a meeting took place unlike any other. For the first time, the leaders of Earth were no longer debating over politics or resources. Instead, they were discussing how best to protect their home and their people from the growing threat in the galaxy. But unlike the past, where humanity had been vulnerable, these leaders had a new sense of purpose, one that filled them with strength and determination. We are not simply defending Earth anymore, the Earth representative, President Eleanor Hayes, declared, her voice resonating with authority. We are standing at the forefront of a new cosmic order. We are guardians of this universe, and we will protect it from anyone who seeks to harm it. Across the planet, humanity was uniting in a way that had never been seen before. The newly awakened humans were not just a force to be reckoned with. They were organized, driven, and filled with an unbreakable will to safeguard all that they held dear. The once divided nations of Earth had set aside their differences, and together they formed an alliance of unimaginable strength. Thousands of human ships, now powered by advanced technologies and interdimensional energy sources, began to gather in space. These ships, capable of bending the laws of physics, were equipped with weapons and defenses that the galaxy had never witnessed. Each vessel represented the will of a people who had fought against insurmountable odds and had finally discovered their true potential. The Earth fleet was no longer a symbol of fragility. It was a symbol of defiance, resilience, and the promise of a future where humanity would not be controlled. As the fleet assembled in orbit around Earth, a transmission was sent to every corner of the galaxy, an invitation for the universe to witness humanity's rise. This is not a threat, the message began. This is a declaration. We are the guardians of our world, and we will defend it against any force that seeks to destroy it. The universe has long underestimated us, but the time has come for you to understand. We are no longer the prey. We are the hunters. The message echoed across the stars, reaching the ears of the Council, the Drakari, and every other race that had watched humanity's rise with trepidation. The galaxy, which had once ruled with an iron fist, now found itself in the midst of a reckoning. The humans, who had been considered insignificant, had unlocked a power that made them a force unlike any other. The Council, previously unified in their fear of humanity's awakening, now found themselves at odds. Some saw the humans as the ultimate threat that needed to be neutralized at any cost. Others, more cautious, began to see the humans as a necessary ally in the face of the galaxy's other dangers. But the most terrifying realization was that no one truly understood what the humans were capable of. Meanwhile, on Earth, the human guardians prepared for the inevitable confrontation. They had no desire for conquest, but they would fight with every ounce of their strength to defend their home and their way of life. Their awakening was not about dominance. It was about protection. They would protect Earth, they would protect their people, and they would protect the universe from those who sought to disrupt the delicate balance of peace. The day of reckoning was fast approaching. The fleets were ready, their weapons primed. The human guardians stood at the edge of the unknown, knowing that the fate of not just their world, but the entire galaxy rested in their hands. They had awakened to a power greater than they could have ever imagined, and now they would use it to protect everything they had fought for. But as the human fleet launched into the depths of space, they knew one thing above all. This battle was just the beginning. The galaxy had underestimated them for far too long, and now the universe would bear witness to the wrath of the human guardians. The dawn of a new era was upon them, and the stars themselves would never be the same. The universe had crossed the line by underestimating humanity, but now humanity would show them the true meaning of power, resilience, and the will to protect. The galaxy had been warned, and the humans would make sure that no one ever forgot it again.